Cruise ports are exciting. You get to spend the whole day in a new location where you get to try the food, take in the culture, see what makes that space in the world so special, maybe go to a really cool location, go to a beach. It's a lot of fun. But there are certain things you need to do or not do to make your day extremely memorable in that location for all the right reasons and not the wrong ones. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, Rob from Sea-kers, and welcome to our show about cruise ports and what to do and what not to do. I love going to cruise ports. It's one of the reasons why I love cruising so much, right? You get to go to 3 or 4 different locations. It's just great. But we want to make sure we get the most value of our money for when we go to these cruise locations. And we also want to make sure that we are not targeted for scams or crimes, which is even far worse. But just remember, crimes is exceedingly rare in these locations, as well as scams. It's rare, but they do happen. I want to make sure you are prepared and make sure you kind of avoid any potential for these things to happen to you, as well as get the most value for the money. So I'm going to give you 10 cruise ports do's and don'ts, things that will help you save some money, make sure you get great value, make sure you are well prepared for when you go to your cruise port. But before we get into the do's and don'ts, I would like to introduce you to Level 8, who's sponsoring today's video. It's a fact. Travel stress is real. From an overweight checked-in bag to a handle that won't go down, or finding a broken wheel at the baggage claim, travel can drive you crazy fast. You want to remove this stress, right? But how? This is where Level 8 can save the day and your sanity. Imagine no longer having to deal with a piece of luggage whose wheels won't disintegrate after one trip through the cargo hold at the airport or the cruise terminal. Or a zipper that will not break after its first use. I know the pain of a telescoping handle that just is tricky. And the worst is when your luggage is overweight. This just adds undue stress and extra cost to your trip. I've been in your shoes. Here's what I recommend. Stop using cheap luggage that you've bought on Amazon or picked up at your local big box store. It's just not worth it. Now is the perfect time to invest in quality luggage at a great price. Level 8 luggage is exactly what the savvy traveler needs and deserves. Not only is it sleek and stylish, but it's elegantly designed to provide you sanity on your travel day. Because of the bare microlon polycarbonate shell, Level 8 luggage promises to be both lightweight and durable. If you ever worried about overweight charges or a broken shell found at the baggage claim, you can kiss those worries goodbye with this luggage from Level 8. My wife loves these 360-degree spinner wheels that are durable on the Level 8 luggage. They're made with an anti-shock design that will hold up to extreme use and provide you a smooth roll. I have had spinner wheels break during my trips. Believe me, it's not fun. Have you ever owned one of those tricky handles? You go to the baggage claim, you find your luggage, and the handle just won't go up. Sometimes you might be able to bend it to your will, but other times it's just not happening, and you wind up lugging the dang thing. I love these telescoping handles on Level 8. They're made with a high-strength aluminum alloy that will just avoid those bends that cause these jam-ups. The Voyager luggage, the yellow one behind me, even sports a wider handle that will allow you to pack more stuff inside the case. The Level 8 luggage also comes with the TSA-approved combination lock. I remember the days when you were able to lock up your luggage, no problems. Then came 9/11 and the TSA. No more locked luggage. With this TSA-approved lock, the TSA can gain access to the inside of your luggage when they need it. All of these features and more come with Level 8's lifetime warranty. This warranty covers any functional damage to the shell, the wheels, the handles, the zippers, anything else that impairs the use of your new Level 8 luggage. So for a smooth and stress-free travel day, take a look at Level 8 luggage. Scan the QR code right there, and we will bring you right to the Level 8 website. Or just click the link down below in the description. And for a limited time, you can get 10% off your Level 8 luggage. Purchase today using my discount code CruiseSeekers10 at checkout. Thank you, Level 8, for sponsoring today's video. All right, so let's get into our first cruise port do's and don'ts, and that is make sure you have at least one device on you set to ship time. Now, ship time is what is going to dictate your whole day. It's going to tell you when you're getting off the ship. It's going to tell you when you need to be back on the ship. So you're going to need to make sure you have one device on you set to the ship's time, whether it be a manual watch or your cell phone. it needs to make sure it's set to ship time. There's a little bit of a gotcha with your cell phone though. Sometimes when you come off airplane mode and you go and turn on your cellular network, your phone will automatically adjust its clock to the local time zone. You're going to want to prevent that from happening. It's a setting in your phone. Make sure it doesn't happen, because if that's the device that you're making sure is set to ship time, and if it automatically sets to a different time zone, you can be in a world of hurt and not realize your time that you're in your reference is different than what the ship's time is. So make sure you turn off that automatic time zone correction. All right, since we're talking about time, let's go with my second dues when you get off the ship or your cruise port. When you get off the ship, there's going to be a sign somewhere that's going to say when you need to be back on board. It's called the all aboard time. You are going to want to take a picture of that sign. You're also going to want to set an alarm on your phone 2 hours before that time so that it will ring and let you know when you're within 2 hours to happen to be on board your ship. Now, the reason why I do this, I can't trust my memory anymore. I just can't. I might say, is it this time? I can't remember. What's the time? Once I have a picture, I know what the time is. And I don't have to question myself anymore. It just gives me a little bit more peace of mind. And the alarm, when that alarm goes off, that's when I know I have to start making plans to get back to the ship right then and there, because I like to personally be back at the ship 1 hour before the time that you have to be on board. It just gives me peace of mind to make sure that I know I'm going to be there and I'm not going to be a port runner. All right, and since we're taking photos with our phone and we're changing our phone to make sure it's on ship time, let's continue along with understanding your cell phone when going to a port. Before you go on your cruise, make a list of all the ports you're going to. Then check with your cell phone provider to see exactly what your cellular service covers when you do international travel. Some cell phone providers include Canada and Mexico, some do not. Some have different types of plans that you could sign up for. There's all sorts of things you can do to try to avoid a very, very big international roaming bill when you get home. So before you go on your cruise, check that out, talk to your cell phone provider, get that information, get yourself on a good international plan so you can avoid that big bill. All right, the fourth do's and don'ts when you're in port. Do not bring your passport in port. What I do instead is I take a picture. Reason why I don't bring my passport in port is because I'm a knucklehead. I will lose my passport at the drop of a hat. I'm just absent-minded like that. I can be reaching into something and I will grab something and out comes the passport with it and falls on the ground. It's something that I'm just deathly afraid of happening to me. So I have that photo. If God forbid I did not listen to my previous tips and I became a port runner and I am left at port, at least I have the picture that I can bring to the U.S. consulate. They can do their magic, get me a replacement passport, and I can get to where I need to go at that point. The other thing is too, I leave my passports in the safe of my room. And when the ship leaves you at port, what they're going to do before they leave is they're going to check your cabin. They're going to grab your passports out of the safe if that's where they're at. And they're going to leave those passports with their cruise attendant at the port. But when you do get back to the port, they're going to be there with the cruise attendant. So there's that too. All right, so the fifth tip that I have right now is for our snorkelers who are going to do a beach thing when they're in port. Bring your own snorkeling equipment, because if you rent them, they're going to be very, very expensive. Like, for example, I have my own face mask one, right? And I also have my fins, and these things, right, cost me probably about somewhere in the range of $55 for the set, right? The mask, the snorkel, the fins, $50. When you go to Coco Cay, if you are to rent these things, it's going to cost you $60. So yeah, don't rent them. It's just very, very expensive. Now, if you're doing a snorkeling excursion, most likely the price of the equipment is going to be included in the excursion. So yeah, then you don't have to necessarily bring your stuff with you, but it's still nice to have your own things, right? You're more used to a face mask one versus just regular goggles. Yeah, bring your own. Okay, 5 down and 5 more to go of do's and don'ts when in port. But before we get into those last 5, I would love to invite everybody who is not currently a member of the Cruise Seekers crew, think about subscribing. Turn that little notification bell on. It really helps us. You'll become a member of our community. We would love to have you here with us. We do tons of videos about how to get the most value from the cruise, what to do when you're on the cruise, things to eat on the cruise, places to go when you're on a cruise. It's a lot of fun to be here. So think about subscribing, turn that notification bell on. Thank you so much. Alrighty, so now let's talk about what to do when you're going to be shopping in your port of call. First thing you're going to realize when you get on a cruise ship, they're going to have these things called shopping consultants when you get on board. They're going to talk about all sorts of places you can go to buy jewelry, how to buy bedding, how to buy t-shirts that change color. But just know that these places paid a lot of money to have their establishments promoted by the cruise lines, by these shopping consultants. They paid a huge amount of money to have people shuttled to their stores. Now, you're going to be told that you're going to get a VIP experience if you bring this card. If you go to this place, they're going to give you this free gift. Just know that it's not a VIP experience. You're not going to be treated any differently from any other person that walks into the store. Matter of fact, these stores have to recover some of that money, some of that promotions that they're doing to get you walking into the store by charging you more than really what you should be paying for these items. It's that simple. You can usually find a really good shopping location. If you're looking for jewelry, try to do some research on your port of where to buy jewelry that is custom to that location. Do your own research. These places that you're going to go to through the consultants, they are just going to be a lot more expensive than if you did your research. Also, those free things that they give you, those things that they say, oh, this is an X amount of value, they're not worth that amount of money. No matter what you hear, it's not like a $100 free gift. It's what they say is a $100 free gift. But if you take a look at it, it's not worth $100. So don't be kind of swayed and pushed into those locations by lures of free gifts or curated service. You'll find just as good services if you find where to buy the things you're looking to buy when you go to those ports. Now, since we're talking about shopping, let's talk a little bit of what to do and not do when you go to some of these small little local marketplaces when in the port of call. Now, these small little marketplaces, I'm not talking about the places that you'll see in the confines of the port, within the gated community of the port. This is for like outside of that location. Usually when you go to these locations, they're going to look like a warehouse or more like an open mall type of scenario where there's a lot of tables and there's going to be a whole bunch of different trinkets and souvenirs and all sorts of different things. Basically kind of tailor-made to the place that you're visiting. And you're going to not see any prices. When you go to these locations, you are going to be expected to ask how much, and they're going to give you a price, and they're going to pretty much expect you to say, nah, too much money, and walk away, and then they'll give you a new price. Yeah, so you're going to be bartering for these type of things. Now, if this is the type of experience that you do not like when you are purchasing something, do not go into these local marketplaces. You will be hounded to kind of see their wares. Hey, come to my store, see what we've got. So if you don't like that type of shopping experience, just don't even venture near them because it's just not going to be something you're going to enjoy. But if you do like that type of stuff, you do like that haggling, yeah, by all means, go in there. Now, understand, there's a few scams that can kind of go in there, especially like if you're at a woodworking location in Jamaica, you might be kind of brought into there, or you might even have one of your kids brought into that location, and the vendor would start carving like your child's name into one of their pieces of wood that's over there. Or they might be carving your name into a piece of wood. And then they're going to expect you to purchase that piece of wood from them because, hey, they customized it for you. And if you don't purchase it, it's now ruined. Don't feel that you have any pressure to purchase these things. If you take a look at around, you might see even on the item that they carved your name on the other side, with someone else's name on it, they scratched off. So it's kind of like a way that they try to pressure people, make them guilt into purchasing something. So don't feel that pressure. Just know that these are the type of things that kind of go on in those locations. They might say that this is all authentic, handmade in these locations. Probably not. Most likely off the boat from China onto their shop. So just kind of understand that too. Just know that these are, this is the way some people make their living, right? They get paid based upon how much money they bring into the shop from the shop owner. They have a huge incentive to sell as much as they can, and they are working as hard as they can to get the most amount of money for a given item, so they can feed their family. But if you like this type of stuff, you like these kind of trinkets, you like the souvenirs, you like the bartering, it's kind of fun for you, by all means, go there. But just understand, this is the kind of environment that you're walking into. Now, still keeping in the shopping theme, do not bring your debit card into the port of call. Do not. If at all possible, if you can, bring a credit card instead. The problem with debit cards, right? It's attached to your bank account. And if you by any chance lose it, if by any chance you get scammed in a way, there's some scams out there where you might see a huge dollar amount on the receipt that you're signing and they're saying, oh no, that's not in US dollars, that's in our currency, it will get converted from the bank. There's all sorts of kind of crazy scams out there, and if you're using a debit card and you put in a PIN, that's sort of like you already authenticating, saying yes, I agree to this purchase, so it makes it very difficult to dispute. If you use a credit card, it's much easier to dispute. It's also not attached to any monies in your personal bank account. Do not bring a debit card if at all possible. Matter of fact, when you go to local markets, if you go into a place that you're not too sure about giving a credit card, it's always good to have cash with you as well. I use cash all the time for tips, for like my taxi driver or whoever that might be serving me for a drink, whatever it might be. I also use cash if I go to these local marketplaces where I don't really trust giving my credit card over to them. This is something that I just personally do. So if you can't get away from using a debit card, bring cash instead maybe. That's the idea. Just try to avoid bringing a debit card. Bring some cash. Bring a credit card instead. Now let's talk about one of my favorite things to do while in port, and that's an excursion of some sort. You can buy your excursion through the cruise line. It's a great thing to do, especially if you have a ton of onboard credit that you need to get rid of because you got to use it or lose it, or you have, say, a subsidized excursion credit that you would get because of a promo package that you have. That's perfectly fine to buy a ship excursion because you have those things. But if you don't have any of those things, think about purchasing your excursions on your own through a third-party aggregator that you can find online for your cruise port, or maybe purchasing directly from the tour provider as well. You'll save a ton of money in this way. Yeah, you don't get the added benefit of making sure that you can get back to the ship and it won't leave without you. That's true. But for the savings, I think it's worth it. And if you follow my other tips, you'll get back to the ship in time. Don't worry about it. Now, yes, the price that you're going to see a lot of times is not including transportation to the tour. So you got to factor that price into your cost savings as well. So don't think like, oh, wow, this is a really good price. I'm saving a ton of money. You might also have to pay to get to the tour location. So remember that. And the final thing that I want to talk about, what to do and what not to do when you're at your port of call, is how to figure out how you're going to get around that port of call, right? Don't just assume that Uber is going to be available for you. Some port cities, Uber is just not allowed. Know that well ahead of time before you go there. So just don't expect it to be there. Also, if you know Uber is not an option, take a look at what kind of taxis are available in those locations. Some ports, when you get off the ship over by the taxi stand, they might have a whole list of different places that a lot of people tend to go to when they come off of a ship, and they will tell you exactly how much the taxi driver should charge you for going to that location. Make sure you look at that sign, make sure you understand that sign, and make sure you know what different terms and conditions are involved with that sign, right? Is it per person? Is it for up to X amount of people? Make sure you understand that when you look at that sign so you know exactly what to be charged for your taxi trip. Finally, do some research on the public transportation in that area. You might find that there's some easy access public transportation when you get off the ship, and it will bring you very, very close to where you want to go. So there you go, folks. That's our tips, our do's and don'ts when you're in your port of call. I hope you enjoyed this video. You now know how to get the best experience when you shop. You now know how to get back to your ship on time. You know how to make sure that you don't forget when you need to be back. All sorts of really cool little tips and tricks. If you follow these tips, you will definitely have a wonderful port experience when you visit your ports of call. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please think about giving it a big thumbs up. We'd love that. It helps the YouTube algorithm so much. Please think about giving it a thumbs up. Also, We love hearing your comments down below. If you have a tip, a do or a don't when you're in a port of call, leave it down below. Let the community know of some other information that you know that can help them. We love that. And I respond back to every comment. I always do. I love hearing from you. I want to grow this community. I love talking back with you folks in our comment section. And again, if you haven't already become a member of the Cruise Seekers crew, please think about subscribing. Turn that notification bell on. Thank you so much. So until we talk again next time, this is Rob from Cruise Seekers, reminding each and every one of you to always seek the seas. Bye now.